Well, hello then, and welcome back to IRL FP here in Russia. Unfortunately, the stream had to be restarted because we got a new lobby, and naturally, with a new lobby being made, sometimes the game just doesn't let you join unless you restart the game. So, with the restart of the game, I had to restart the stream. So, here we are, finally, once again, and hopefully, we should be able to get underway soon, as we're maybe waiting for another few drivers maybe to join back, as we do have 16, and I'm pretty sure we had 16 before, so we should be getting going again in a few moments. Right. Just waiting for the last few. I think we're waiting on one more person to join. As actually we've gone up in numbers since the restart, so that's not too bad to see. And one thing that this is crucial for as well is Tom Jewell, because with his spin, or maybe didn't even spin, in this game, some people didn't even have control on the start. If Tom did have control and he did actually spin, it's a second chance for him though. Because of course he did DNF at the start of the previous race, but it didn't really count. So lucky to get a second chance. Maybe timer can't join? I don't know. A few more people are readying up, so I think we should be going now. Yeah, there we go. people getting the strategies together, and more importantly, getting their setups together as well. Some people may be forgetting, and if you do forget, it's going to cost you big time in the race. As we prepare and are away once again for the formation lap here in Russia, and once again Corboy is going to lead the field away ahead of Timber Salins, who is surely going to be looking for a good start. Tom Jewell certainly looked like he had a good start in the previous, the first race that didn't really count. Before his spin anyway, it looked like he was just alongside Corboy, who actually himself didn't really seem to have a great start, so should be maybe kind of expecting in some ways a side-by-side moment into turn 2 maybe, but I guess that remains to be seen. So just get all the information back up on the screen. As now, of course, into Sector 3, and it's the last little breath of fresh air that the drivers will get, and of course the nerves will be settling in going through the last few corners, because that's pretty much everything you can do. That's all the preparation you can do. The race starts once they line up on the grid, and the starts, of course, are going to be crucial. A good start could save you ending up in an incident. A bad start could see you losing a few places, especially with that run down towards turn 2 being so long as well. So just anything could happen today, and usually it does as well. As there we go, 3, 4, 5 red lights for the Russian Grand Prix, and it's lights out here in Sochi. Looks pretty even between the front row, as it looks like a Williams. Matthew Walder is already alongside and maybe even ahead of Tim Mercedes side by side, both of them with the Mercedes engine, as Matthew Walder now looking to the inside, trying to outbrake the Mercedes, as the McLaren's also getting involved. A little bit of an incident there. Matthew Walder might have some damage as Matt goes through to take P3. Tim Mercedes continues in second place. Lewis Millam is out, Cameron Young also out. There's a virtual safety car out. We may be seeing that upgraded, and it is a full safety car right at the start, just as it was on the previous start. This time Corboy is going to retain his lead as Timber Salins in second, Matt in third. Does Matthew Alder have any damage? No, he doesn't. He was lucky to get away with that, as Matt as well was a little bit aggressive. He does have damage, as Timber Salins as well slightly involved in that, but I think he got away okay. He did get away okay. You can see a full wing there, as even through on a safety car lap, you can see the McLaren struggling a little bit for turn-in. So just having a look here at the position changes, as Edward Hart actually having quite a nice start, getting himself up into the points paying positions. 10th, of course, started 15th. You can see as well a few good starts. Jared Fosber making up a few places, and same with Paco Suarez as well. Matt up 2 places, as you saw in turn 1, but a little bit controversial, is into the pit lane for Corboy. Very interesting decision. to pit on lap 1. No one else. I can't really see anyone else. Matt, of course, is going to pit with the damage. Matthew Alder also pitting, so maybe he did get damage. I don't know. A few more people also pitting, but the majority is going to stay out. As we'll just see what tires they go on here. As Corboy onto mediums, we'll see what Matthew Alder puts on. He's going to put on a fresh set of soft tyres, and off he goes as well. Ollie Flevel also onto the mediums, as is Matt as well in the McLaren. So 4 pit stops, 1 was for damage. I don't know why Corboy thought that that was a good decision. From the lead of the race, he's got a lot of overtaking to do now, and Tim Brusalens is going to, of course, inherit a P1, and if there's another safety car later on, Tim Brusalens pits for that one. You might find maybe Corboy has to pit for that as well for softs if it's late on into the race, so he may have screwed his strategy, but if it goes well for him, then I guess we'll see. Maybe he'll prove me wrong. As now Rocco Walsh making his way up into second as well, after the few pit stops that occurred. So he's certainly doing well for himself in the Williams. And third place Paco Suarez making up, of course, the 2 places. Matthew Alder and Matt being the 2 that pit there. One thing you do have to point out though, of course, Tim Brusalens, Rocco Walsh both on softs. Paco Suarez in third on mediums, and he's got 2 people on the softs behind him as well. So he's actually in a prime position to maybe make up a few places and really make use of these mediums compared to the softs that, of course, were used in quali as well. I'm not sure if Paco... Well, Paco, did he qualify in the top 10? He may have, actually. As up 6 places. Yeah, so he would have finished, or qualified 9th. So his mediums would be used as well, but really it doesn't make all that much of a difference. As now Ross Denholm on the softs, he's looking to pit on this lap. And someone else as well, I think that's Thomas McGyver into the pit lane as well, in the Red Bull. Just makes Paco Suarez's, well actually for Paco it's maybe not actually all that good, because he's got 1 less driver behind him on the softs to maybe hold up people. But for people who stayed out on the softs, it's certainly not a good situation, because I get the feeling they're not going to be able to pull away, or at least they're not going to be able to have the advantage of the softs for all too long. The Mercedes does, however, have the advantage of having that Mercedes, so in a way it's not as bad as for him as maybe it is for the likes of Rocco Walsh and Jared Fosbury as well, who are in slower cars. And if their tyres are at a disadvantage, that's already one thing, and their cars aren't all too fast either. Certainly not the Williams. The Williams is actually the slowest car on the grid here today, after the allocations were done. As still under safety car conditions, Tom Segarver is going to cruise up to the back of the field on the soft tyres. Interesting choice. And safety car now should be in this lap. And one thing I can say for sure, Tim Mercedes did slow it right down. He did lead a safety car restart in F2, and he did them quite well, so I wouldn't put it past him to be able to do something similar here today as well. As now he's going to slow them down, let the safety car get a little bit of distance. Through to turns 15 and 16, of course. He's actually taken this kind of quickly. The safety car hasn't really got too much of a chance to pull away. As you can see, warming up the tyres. That's a little bit of a burnout almost there. As of course he's turned on his ERS, which I really don't think is a good idea, because it puts you at a little bit of a risk of spinning, but surely now he's going to be away, and he is away, and we are back racing here in Sochi as we'll get an onboard from Rocco Walsh. I don't think he's going to be quite close enough to make a move in the Mercedes. Of course, Tim Mercedes, a very nice restart. Paco Suarez is going to be defending a little bit from Jared Fosbury. Jared Fosbury looking down the inside, not going to be able to make anything of it though, as they all funnel through turn 2. The Ferrari of Edward Hart also looking to maybe make up a few places. Lewis Curtis follows behind him as well. Dale Keller, I think, actually started at the back of the grid, so he's made up quite a few places. It's now Jared Fosbury going a little bit wide and loses a place to Edward Hart. Does he maybe have damage? No, he doesn't. He seems to have some sort of problems, as now he's losing a place to Lewis Curtis. Is down to 6th place. Now he was running 4th only a few moments ago, side by side with the Haas on the inside. He has that Merc engine as well. He's going to look to the inside, and he's going to give space on the outside as well. Lewis Curtis goes a little bit off the track though, as he's going to retain this position. I think Jared Fosbury is the other Aston Martin. Dale Keller trying to get involved in this as well. Jared Fosbury is going to retain his 5th place, but for how much longer? You can see a very, very bad exit from Jared, and it looks like Lewis Curtis now is going to get this move done, as still side by side. I don't know what he's holding out everyone for. It seems like he's just kind of going slowly by choice, as now the Aston Martin goes through. He's trying to make a move on, of course, his by default teammate, but not literal teammates, as side by side the two Aston Martins go, as Jared Fosbury on the outside, Dale Keller now on the outside for turn 16, and he's going to go right around the outside and make that move stick, as the Haas gets pushed off a little bit and allows Matthew Alder to go through. He's making up a few places as Jared Fosbury tries to go down the inside of Dale Keller. Doesn't quite make it work, and I mean, really, I don't know what he's doing. He held up people so much, as I think he's kind of continuing to do so, as Matthew Alder looking on the outside, side by side. Matthew Alder has that Mercedes engine, both of them do, as on the outside for Matthew Alder, inside for Jared Fosbury, and Jared Fosbury's going to retain the place. Go deep though, as Matthew Alder, the championship leader, he's got problems now. He's got no wing. He's going to be losing out a few places. Actually, he's going to go pretty much to the back of the grid, as Ollie Flavel is running last. He's boxed, as Jared Fosbury's still going side by side, still holding up so many people here, as Jared Fosbury now drops to 9th. The Red Bull goes through of Thomas McIver there, as you can see McLaren in the background losing a few places. That's Matt down to 12th there, as Corboy goes through in the other Red Bull. Ross Denham gets up into 10th there. As now Jared Fosbury actually gives Ross Denham damage. He broke a little bit early. It looks like he's driving with damage, but you can see there, he definitely does not have damage. He's just holding up everyone pretty significantly. I mean, he is entitled to fight them, there's no doubt about that, but it seems like maybe he's doing it a little bit excessively. I'm not sure. Not going to say anything for my opinion on it, necessarily, that he's doing something wrong. I don't necessarily think he's doing something wrong. Maybe he's just getting in bad positions and just losing places. You never know. As we go back to the fight for really what is the podium places, Timber Salins has bolted. He's now 4 seconds ahead of 2nd place Rocco Walsh, as Paco Suarez is going to be looking for a move. He's going to be on the outside of the Williams, and he's actually going to go through as Edward Hart. Can he close up at all going into turn 2? No, he can't, as Rocco, I should say, is going to be dropping down to 3rd, as now the Ferrari of Edward Hart is going to be looking for a move. Doesn't look for a move in turn 4 though. He goes quite wide, and he's actually going to allow Edward to go right down the inside and fairly easily pick up a 3rd place. So of course Rocco Walsh going down the straight was in 2nd, and now he's lost 2 positions down to 4th. So unfortunate for him, as a few people now going into the pit lane. Jared Fosbury is into pit lane. Ross Denham and Matthew Alder all, I think, getting damage. Well, I know Matthew Alder definitely got damage. I know Ross got damage. I'm not sure if Jared got damage, but he did pit, and he's still fighting away. He's turned in very clearly on Ross Denham. There's no real other way to put it, as Matthew Alder is going to go through on Ross Denham, as now Jared Fosbury is going to have to deal with Matthew Alder being on the back of him. Lewis Curtis is getting passed now by Corboy in the Red Bull, going through turn 13, and it's going to be a fairly easy move. Slipstream and DRS for 8th place, as now looking at the fight for what is 11th. It's not even the points, and Jared Fosbury really is fighting away for it anyway. As I'm just going to cut to the fight for here as Edward Hart is going on the inside of Pacosaurus side by side, going through turn 1. Edward Hart has the pace advantage, he has the speed advantage, and he's going to go up into P2 now, as he did make the move on Rucka Walsh last lap fairly easily, and he makes a fairly easy move now on Pacosaurus up into P2, but this is all allowing Tim Brusalians to pull an even bigger gap. Is there fighting in the background now? Has actually someone crashed? As Sondre Surhog now has had some problems. It seems he's down to 10th. I'm not sure if maybe it was an incident he had with someone, as Tom Segarver seems to have just made a move on Dale Keller as well. 5th for Tom Segarver, 6th for Dale Keller now anyway, as right off the track you can see Matt almost actually hitting the wall there. Seems maybe struggling a little bit with some understeer. As you can see now, Edward Hart did pull a little bit of a gap to the AlphaTauri, but the AlphaTauri really pulling back on him on the straight. He's got overspeed, of course. He's maybe looking to the inside. He's going to have a little bit of luck, but he's not going to be able to make anything of it, and he's going to have to stick behind the Ferrari for now. As now is that a side-by-side moment as well. Is Dale Keller looking for a move, maybe a switchback in turn 14? He's maybe going to be looking for it, but he's going to just be too far off. As you can see, the two Red Bulls very nicely with that different livery going through the corners very close together in the same fight for what is 5th place at the moment, and they're so far off the fight for the podium, you can say, as I think Pacosaurus maybe is going to be trying to close back up to Edward Hart once again. I don't think he's going to be able to do it. Maybe with a better exit out of turn 2 going into turn 3. I don't think he's going to have quite a good enough exit. It's now side by side for what is 12th place, as Matthew Alder makes a move on Ross Denholm, or maybe defense from Ross Denholm. I'm not really sure which way it would have been, as Jared Fosbury goes a little bit deep. It's going to allow Matthew Alder to close right up to him, right up the gearbox now. He's going to be looking to the inside, can't make it work, as in the background there, is that someone crashed? It's actually Ross Denholm, and it's a full safety car once again. It looked like he was on his own. I don't really think he has anyone else to blame for that but himself. And in turn 16, the exit of turn 16, Ross Denholm out of the Grand Prix. You can see the safety car there, the Aston Martin safety car, just pulling ahead of the Aston Martin of Jared Fosbury. As Matthew Alder is going to pass Jared Fosbury, or try to. I don't really blame him, to be honest, but Jared Fosbury is going to retake his P11. So now what's going to be interesting, surely the soft runners now are going to be pitting, as into the pit lane for Tim Brusalians, into the pit lane for Edward Hart and Pacosaurus and Rocco Walsh. The top 4 all taking an opportunity to pit. Is anyone going to be staying out? Surely, yeah. Tom Segarver is going to be in. Dale Kelleher is going to be staying out, interestingly. Corboy is also going to stay out, and these two are going to inherit P1 and P2 respectively. As it looks like Tim Brusalians is going to inherit a P3 or P4 from this, I think. I think pretty much everyone else is going to be pitting now, as he is going to take a P3. And what I was saying earlier, Corboy pitting on lap 1, I don't think he had damage. If he did, then fair enough. But if he didn't, now he has Tim Brusalians on fresher mediums right behind him. And I said if there was a safety car later on, Tim Brusalians could take advantage of it, and it's really gone very much not in Corboy's favour, trying to get that early stop to work. And now Tim Brusalians is going to close right back up and have those fresh mediums to boot as well. As fresh softs for Edward and Paco, of course, because they did start the race on mediums. Are they going to go to the end? I would say they probably can. But I don't really think they're going to give all too much grip by the end, though. The softs can go off. I mean, they can only go so far. The mediums are fairly good for pretty much almost an entire race distance, so going to be interesting. There's Ollie Fabel into the pit lane again. and he's going to be able to catch up to the grid once again. Penalties, I'll just check the situation. 3 seconds for Major, for Matt, I should say, really. Sondre Sorg has picked up a 5-second time penalty. I wonder what that's for, as Lewis Curtis gets a 3-second penalty just for cutting corners, pretty much. As I'm just going to check, they're not going to be going to the pit lane. What? Penalty? Okay, it doesn't actually say. I thought it would say if it was speeding the pit lane or something. Or maybe it says it in... I'll just try and find... Sondre? Speeding the pit lane. Okay. Yeah. So he does deserve that 5-second penalty then. Unfortunate though. And I think he's actually going to serve it. He is going to serve it under the safety car, so just getting it out of the way. Jared Fosbury, Matthew Alder, all pitting. Ollie Flavel's going to stay out. He might actually jump this crowd. He might just about have enough speed. As we'll stay on board with him. He's certainly going to jump some of them. Maybe not all of them though. As through the final corner he goes. First coming out of the pit lane is going to be Paco Suarez. He's definitely going to come out ahead. So he's going to be side by side, I think, with the Haas of Lewis Curtis. As you can see, Lewis Curtis just ahead. And he's going to be ahead. Jared Fosbury just behind. So Ollie Flavel back into the points paying position. So he's not going to be too upset about that, you can say, into 10th place. As everyone else just forming up behind the safety car. Dale Keller and Corboy, of course, two people who stayed out. As will it show me? Okay, there we go. Stayed out on their mediums. Don't really think it was a good strategy call. They very much should have pit, but of course they're prioritizing track position and maybe think they can go to the end anyway. Well, one person who's not going to the end is Dale Keller, though, because he still has another stop. He hasn't stopped yet at all. As you can see there, only one not to stop. Dale Keller naturally leading as a result. As the safety car now should get called in. As you can see there, yep, safety car in this lap. And it's up to Dale Keller when he wants to go. So if he wants to back up the grid, he can do so. If he wants to take the safety car restart fairly quickly, he can do so as well. It's all up to him. And everyone else behind is going to have to follow suit to what he's doing. Just one situation you want to be careful of is if he does slow down the grid. Don't want to be getting 5-second time penalties by making just barely any contact with someone. You do want to keep a little bit of distance anyway, as it looks like he may have gone now. He is speeding up and through the final corner. Dale Keller has gone, and we are back to green flag racing here as Timber Sailens right on the back of Corboy. He's going to be using ERS and Slipstream. He's not going to have DRS yet. Of course, that's going to come on lap 13, as in the Slipstream he's going to be looking on the outside. He saw a little bit of a gap. Corboy did cut it off right at the end, as Timber Sailens is going to have to settle for P3 still. As going through turn 3 now, he's going to be looking for a move maybe on the inside. He did try and make a move here in Ross Tenham in F2. Didn't quite go well for him, so maybe he's going to think better of it. As he gets a much better exit going into turn 5, he's going to be side by side with the Red Bull on the inside, and he's also on the inside of the Aston Martin there almost gets a double overtake. He does overtake the Red Bull of Corboy there and up into second place anyway. Now he's putting some big pressure on Dale Keller, who's got very different braking zones to Timber Sailens, of course, because of them old tyres, and he's going to go right around the outside of Dale Keller. There, Timber Sailens retakes what was once his as he continues to lead the race. Edward Hart now has crashed in the background at the exit of what is turn 12, I want to say, or it actually maybe turn 10, as another safety car. As what is happening here? As Matthew Alder was going a little bit slowly, it seems. I don't know what happened. Maybe he was trying to let someone through so he wouldn't get an illegal overtake. It's going to be interesting who decides to pit. Of course, Dale Keller is going to take the opportunity to pit. Someone else. Hey, Coreboy. What's happened to Coreboy? I don't know. I don't think I don't know how I missed that. But Coreboy has damage. He was running behind Timber Salins. Timber Salins had made the move on him. And then Tim made a move, of course, on Dale Keller to retake the lead. So between then and Lickle retiring, it seems like he got damage. I'm not sure what he would have got it off. Maybe Dale Keller had an incident with him, but Dale seemed to be pretty much in the same place. And no one else is significantly out of position, so maybe he just spun on his own, but I'm not sure. I can't be sure about it. What I can say, he's 12th and out of the points on a fresh set of soft tyres. Oh, and I realise as well, Timber Salins stayed out on those mediums. Of course, in second it was Dale Keller who pit for fresh softs, and he's come out in P6. If Timber Salins had taken a pit stop, he would have been 5th, behind Matthew Alder, who stayed out, of course. Or maybe even ahead of him, because he did have a little bit of a gap to Dale. He did this in F2, and it almost worked. Staying out on the mediums, he was pressured by Ross Denham in F2, who was right behind him on the softs. Ross Denham did end up making the move, rather controversially though, because Timber Salins did end up spinning from it. But Tim has put himself in a position he was in last week where it didn't go well for him. Maybe he's trusting the strategy, maybe he thinks it was a once-off, and he believes that it can work this time. This time, of course, he does have a Mercedes behind him as well. So he's got the quickest car on the grid. He's got the second quickest car on the grid behind him, but it is Thomas McGyver. Thomas, I wouldn't really say is all too close to Tim's pace. I would call Tim a quicker driver, and a quicker driver in the quicker car should be quicker on overall. So, going to be interesting to see what happens between them two, and Matt being on the hards, which is definitely the wrong call. Maybe going to be holding people behind, so if Tim can get a nice restart, start building a gap, and Matt doesn't get overtaken through turn 2, maybe Tim can put himself in a nice position. But Matthew Alder, of course, he's Matthew Alder, he has the quicker tyre, he's given himself every advantage that he can, and of course he is the most skilled driver here, he's the quickest driver here, and that's why he's leading the championship, it's why he's in the slowest car right now. So wouldn't put it past him to be able to come through on the quicker tyre. Certainly would be looking at least a podium, probably P2. As everyone has caught up, so it should be in this lap, the safety car. And Timber Salins is going to be able to restart for the second time in this race. This time though, he does have a very quick Coreboy right behind him. As I don't think Coreboy was necessarily directly... No, he wouldn't have been because he pit, so... Yeah, Tim has a little bit more difficult this time. As he's going to be weaving, he's going to be warming up them mediums. And the soft runners certainly are going to be warming up them tyres, because they're going to be looking to make moves. As you can see, confirmation safety car is in this lap, and it's up to Tim when he wants to go. Early or late, quick or slow. As everyone behind... Or no, it's not Coreboy, it's Thomas McGyver. I'm getting mixed up. Same car, different driver. But, same concept though. Honda engine behind him, second quickest car. Everything else just translated as if I said Thomas McGyver. As going slowly here, so Timber Salins is backing up the grid. And I did say earlier, if someone does back up the grid, it's up to you behind to make sure you're not touching with anyone. As through nice and slow through the penultimate corner, and now through the final corner, and he's going to be bolting, and it's away, and green flag racing once again, as Timber Salins has had a very nice start. He's gapped second place by about 6/10 already, as Thomas McGyver losing time going through towards turn 2. As in the background there, Matthew Walder looking for a move on the inside of Lewis Curtis. Softs versus mediums, and they're two of the slowest cars on the grid, fairly matched, you can say, fairly evenly matched. As, of course, the soft tires making the big difference there out of the final corner, and he's up into P4. His next target is going to be the hards of Matt versus, of course, Matthew Walder's softs, and you get the feeling it's going to be a fairly easy move to make as well, as those hards are going to provide pretty much no grip, and it's going to hold everyone behind up significantly until they get to that back straight. As Timber Salins has gapped now Thompson Guyver by about 1.3, 1.4 seconds now. Matt is falling off quite significantly. As you can see on the exit, really not responding well to those hard tires. Matthew Walder now on the back of him in the slipstream. He's looking to go around the outside for turn 13. He can't quite make it work. He's maybe going to dive him. He's not going to dive him. He's going to scare him though, and he's going to go a little bit wide. He's going to look for a switch back there, as I think Lewis Curtis maybe looked at a move as well. That's maybe why he lost time. I think maybe he looked at a switch back, but Matthew Walder was looking at the same thing, as he's going to be going up. But the third has Timber Salins. He's had problems. He's round in turn 16, and he's down to last place almost, down to 11th. He was leading by about a second. It was his own mistake going through turn 16, and it is fairly easy, to be fair, to spin there, and he is down out of the points on the mediums as well. It's not going to be easy to come back through the field. Matthew Walder is going to inherit a P2. Thompson Guyver now leads this race on the mediums though, and I don't think Matthew Walder is going to allow him to lead this race for very much longer. As Matthew Walder, the championship leader, he's going to want to show why he's a championship leader, and of course taking the lead in a Williams is going to be a big statement as well from the multiple world champion, the multiple world championships that he's taken, whether it be drivers, whether it be constructors. He won. He's actually the defending champion here in FP at the moment, and he's very much on his way to defend his title. As we see just a shot of the rear wing for the Red Bull, as I think Paco Suarez is maybe getting overtaken by, or actually no, overtaking maybe Rocco Walsh there. As you can see how much faster that Red Bull is down the straight compared to the Williams. That Williams does have the quicker engine, I think, but as on the inside, the German going for a move on Sondre Sorog, and he's going to be back up into the points, Timber Salins, as he's going to be chasing down the next few, as now Jared Fosbury goes side by side with Ollie Flavel. Ollie Flavel, of course, on the softs, he's looking to redeem himself for the very unfortunate start to the race that he had, as Jared Fosbury gets a 3-second time penalty. Ollie Flavel will be looking for a move. I'm going to be checking as well if anyone's all too close to people. Looks like Matthew Walder is sticking with Thompson Guyver for the lead, but apart from that it seems fairly spread out. As now you can see Timber Salins making a move on Ollie Flavel there. Ollie Flavel was trying to close up to Jared Fosbury, but the opposite happened. He actually lost the place instead of gaining one, as now Jared Fosbury is looking for a move on Lewis Curtis. Lewis Curtis on the mediums, he's really going to be losing out here, as on the inside for Jared Fosbury and up into 7th place. A nice move from the Brit, and he's going to be up, of course, as I said, Lewis Curtis down to 8th. This actually breaks a little early there. Lewis Curtis gets a little bit caught out, and he's touched. He hasn't got wing damage, so Sondre Sorog's going to go through. He hasn't actually got a penalty either, so nice drive from Sondre not to have any penalties yet. Fair play to him. As a full safety car, what has happened? Lewis Curtis is out of the race. So many incidents, so many safety cars today. I'm losing my voice as well. As out of the exit of what is turn 9, there's a little kink that's turn 9. It looked around there at least. Maybe he spun, maybe he had an incident. I didn't see it, unfortunately, because there was other things happening simultaneously. No one opts to pit. Naturally, most people in the softs. I think Timber Salins is going to go into the pit lane, though he is going to go into the pit lane. He's going to concede the 2 positions behind him, or actually only one, as Ollie Flavel also is going to look to pit, using last anyway. So I guess why not get a fresh set of tyres, as Tim Mercedes is going to be looking for a new wing change as well. Ollie Flavel, just a standard stop. I think he's going to come out ahead of Tim Mercedes as well, so he actually gains the place anyway. If he stayed out, he would have gained the place, and pitting, he still gained the place. So definitely a good decision from Ollie to have pit there for a fresh set of softs. Or I should actually say a used set of softs, but certainly you would expect them to be still fresher than they were. As everyone else has caught up. Hopefully the two at the back can catch up early enough that the safety car will just be in this lap. It would be nice, because the amount of safety cars we're having, it's getting a little bit annoying. Tom Skyver goes alongside the safety car. It seems he thinks the safety car maybe. And they do just about catch up. You can see Tim Mercedes on the back of the grid, but I think we're going to have to go another lap, and I would hate to have to go another lap under safety car when they're all bunched up as well. That safety car isn't coming in, and the lights are still on. And it is going to stay out, I think, for another lap, even though everyone's caught up. So, and I think Tom Segarva was trying to encourage it to go into the pit lane, but didn't quite work, unfortunately. And we are going to get an entire lap of everyone being formed up. On to lap 18 now. Thomas Segarva still the leader. Matthew Older still keeping the pressure on him though. He was able to stick with him despite being in the Williams. The Mercedes engine certainly helping out with that. And those soft tyres as well. That may be going off soon. Maybe just starting to lose a little bit of pace. I would think it's around now. But it was under a few safety cars, this one and the last one. So that would help out the wear on it a little bit. As Matt's still on those hards, surprising that he didn't actually take an opportunity to pit under this safety car, because he's going to go backwards. I mean, Lewis Curtis was on the mediums, he was going backwards, he unfortunately retired as well. But on the hards, I mean, if mediums is going to make someone go backwards, the hards, especially at this point, like, there's going to be no grip in them at all. And every single person behind him on the softs. So really not doing himself any favours. And also with the penalty on top of all that. And you can see there, safety car in this lap. Tom Segarva is going to be the one this time leading the way. As we'll see, is he going to slow the field down? Is he going to speed it up? Doesn't look like he's going too slowly anyway. Just trying to warm up his tires. As now he's slowed down. You can see there. Big time slowed down. Already trying to bunch up the grid, as he's certainly achieving. As you can see, Matthew Alder really trying to warm up his tyres to put some pressure, maybe going down towards turn 2. As I think now Tom Segarva has got to go, as we'll get a... Or actually no, he's going to wait a little bit extra. Very cheeky from Tom Segarva to wait that little bit extra just before the line. Matthew Alder wouldn't have been allowed to pass him. which means that he's going to be protected a little bit longer down this straight. And now into turn 1, Tom Sciver is going to lead. Matthew Walder is going to have to follow him through. Rocco Walsh, it seems, is actually losing out a few positions. He's side by side with Paco Suarez. He's using the ERS on the outside as well. He's going to have the inside for the next corner. You can see Del Keller losing out some time as he's going to get passed by Paco Suarez. He's going to get passed by Jared Fosbury, and Rocco Walsh is going to get held up by him a little bit and lose another. Okay, that's weird. He's going to lose another position or two, it seems. As down to 7th place, still Kelleher. As Rocco Walsh has lost a few more places. A really unlucky positioning there for Rocco Walsh. Oh, and hopping over the curb, Del Keller now, as he loses another position to Sondre Sorog, who goes through for 8th place. One person who's really making up the places is Tim Stalins, is on the inside. The McLaren trying to fend off Paco Suarez. Paco Suarez gonna have the inside for the next corner. Softs versus hards. It's surely going to be Paco Suarez who's going to come out on top in this fight, as the McLaren still tries to hold on for the inside as well, but finally the softs do come into their own and up into the podium places. Paco Suarez now as a little bit of contact. Matt now, that was Timber Stalins, I think, or maybe Jared Fosbury. I didn't actually quite catch. I think it was Jared Fosbury actually. Just making a little bit of contact with Matt, and I think Matt has damage now and he's down to 9th. As now Jared Fosbury trying to defend from the German of Tim Stalins on the outside, side by side going into turn 1. Jared Fosbury has the inside line, and it looks like he's going to continue to have that inside line as Corboy now comes out of nowhere to try and make a double overtake here. As he's going to be on the outside, he's going to be looking for the inside. He's going to switch to the inside for turn 3, outside for turn 4, breaks late, and he's going to go up into 4th place. Jared Fosbury losing out of position. Sondre Sorog up into P6, passing Tim Stalins, who's dropped now to 7th. It's now Jared Fosbury and Sondre Sorog is going to be going side by side. Sondre on the inside. It's going to be a very nice move to pull off there, and a very nice move it is. Sondre Sorog up into P5. Very, very opportunistic there from Sondre to pull off a move in that section of the track, and up into P5 now. The top 5 places, 10 points. Very strong points for Sondre Sorog, as now I think Jared Fosbury might have to look behind, maybe, or actually no, he's not. He is going to be looking to re-overtake Sondre Sorog, but he's going to lift off actually. He's not going to be looking for an overtake. He's going to think better of it for now and allow Sondre Sorog to continue to be in P5. Not going to challenge him, as Tom Sciver continues to lead this race after his very, I would call it clever. I'm not sure if he maybe sped up and broke right at the end. Of course, if it's erratic, then it's not allowed. But if it's kind of smooth, if you want to put it like that, it should be fairly okay. Is that is that something happening in the background? I'm not sure. Jared Fosbury is round in the final corner, and he's down to 7th place. I think maybe recovering actually. To 7th place after a few pit stops. Is that a wing change? I didn't quite get to see there. But into the pit lane for Tim Stalins, interestingly. As now Paco Suarez is looking to close up to the back of Matthew Walder. As Matthew Walder now has just lost DRS from Jared Fosbury. Is there people going side by side here? There may well be, as Rocco Walsh is going to be going side by side with Tim Stalins going into turn 1. Tim Stalins is going to be exiting the pit lane side by side between the two. Rocco Walsh does leave space, to be fair to him, and he's going to be going around the outside now, Tim Stalins, and he's going to have the inside for turn 4. They're fairly even. I think Tim Stalins is slightly ahead, and he's going to have the corner all to himself, and on the inside the Mercedes is going to go up into 9th place, so just ahead of the Williams. Rocco Walsh just didn't make that undercut work. It wasn't really an undercut attempt, you can say, but certainly turned out to be one, as side by side. But Tim Stalins, especially with that Mercedes, certainly better in pretty much every way, apart from the engine, compared to the Williams. So kind of expected who was going to take the overtake in that instance. 1.2 seconds now separate the top two, as you can see here. Matthew Walder and Paco Suarez, or actually no, it's not Paco Suarez, it's Corboy this time. It seems like Corboy's actually passed Paco Suarez recently, it seems, and now Corboy up into P2 now, Matthew Alder down to P3. Paco Suarez is, I think, gonna... Well, he's gonna try to be next anyway to pass Matthew Alder after Corboy doing it. He does have the car advantage, or he has the pace advantage, I'm not sure, but he certainly has fresher tyres anyway. 9 laps compared to 11. As a little bit of a fight for 5th here as well, Ollie Flavel and Sondre Sorhag. As is that an overtaking manoeuvre? It is, as Tim Mercedes now gets past Dale Keller and goes up into 8th place. And the next one he's going to be chasing down is Jared Fosbury, but he's a little bit up the road though, 16 seconds away, so not really going to be closing up that gap by the end of the race unless Jared Fosbury were to make a very big mistake, you can say. As now actually it's a Red Bull 1-2. It's not necessarily a team 1-2 because of course FP, the teammates differ and then the cars differ every week. You're almost always in a different car unless really you're Matthew Alder and all you do is league championships. Paco Suarez now within the DRS of Matthew Alder, so he certainly does have a pace advantage, at least right now, as we're going to be seeing Ollie Flavel closing up to the back of Sondre Sorhag. I don't think he's going to close up quite enough going into turn 1. He's going to be closing and he's going to look down the inside, but he's just not close enough, as is that Rocco Walsh going round. It is Rocco Walsh going round, approaching turn 15, and he's out of the points now in 11th. And a few seconds off the points as well, so gonna be a little bit of a challenge for him to get back to where he was. As now you can see Corboy on the softs, Tom Sciver on the mediums. It's Red Bull versus Red Bull, so it's equal cars between these two. The only difference is that Corboy's on those softs, and those softs are definitely quicker than Tom Sciver's mediums, at least at the moment. Maybe right at the end they'll become equal, maybe right at the end the mediums will come into their own. But at the moment though, he's in the DRS, he's in the slipstream, he's going to be looking to the outside and inside for turn 12. Of course, he's going to continue on the outside for turn 13, and he's not even going to need to, and up into the lead of this race. Tom Sciver finally loses the lead, and the lead changes hands between the two Red Bulls. Corboy, your new leader today, as Matthew Alder continues to fend off Paco Suarez, who's closing ever more as we go through Sector 3. We might get a little bit of an opportunity now as we go through turn 2, or approach turn 2 I should say. As out of the final corner he's going to have DRS, he's going to be using that ERS. Matthew Alder doesn't have all too much ERS to use either. As opening up that DRS, he's going to be closing. He may well have an opportunity going down the inside. He is going to look to the inside, and he may actually make this move before the corner. He is going to make this move before the corner, and under braking he finishes off the move and up into the podium places Paco Suarez, and he's going to be chasing down Thomas Sciver. I don't know if he's going to quite catch him though, as Thomas Sciver does still have the DRS of his Red Bull teammate. As Sondre Sorhag closes up to his teammate Matthew Alder. As is this an overtake major, or Matt, I always mix it up with Matt. Getting past Dale Keller for 9th place, 1 lap pressure tyres as well. As is that a move? It is. Well, actually, oh no, yeah, I saw Paco Suarez go through. Don't know why I forgot that, but now Sondre Sorhag, as I said, is going to be next to close up, if he is going to close up to his teammate. 1.3 seconds separate them. Matthew Alder also has a penalty. Just going to quickly check what kind. It is a 3 seconds, so not going to be well, he still can get warnings removed, but probably not, you can say. As now through the final few corners, Matthew Alder is going to have DRS off the back of Paco Suarez, a little bit wide from Sondre Sorhag. Don't want to be doing that, because now he's actually put himself in a podium position, because he's within 3 seconds. Paco Suarez just got a penalty there, you can see, and he's within 3 seconds of both of them. So if Sondre just keeps it clean, stays in the DRS, he'll take a P3. Ollie Flavel though he has to watch out for, because Ollie Flavel doesn't really get penalties. And if he makes a move on Sondre Sorhag, he'll be the one to take P3. So he has a little bit of work to do, but if he can keep it clean for the last few laps, stay in the DRS, I think he can certainly do it. As Paco Suarez just edges away a little bit more, he's broken the DRS for Matthew Walder. It's going to make Sondre Sorog's job a little bit easier. He's going to be using the DRS. Is that a move? It is a move. Tom McGyver gets up back into the lead ahead of Corboy. I did say those mediums may come back into their own right at the end of the race, and it seems like they have. Maybe they're equal, maybe the mediums have a slight advantage. Of course, less wear on the mediums, and he's going to be up into the lead of this race. Does he have damage actually, Corboy? Seems like maybe he's going a little bit slowly. No damage. So just pure pace that Tom McGyver coming back at him. And Jared Fosbury and Tim Brusaylin's now fighting away for P7, and Tim Brusaylin's going to come out on top of that fight. As we can see, Sondre Sorog is going to look to the inside. I don't think Matthew Walder is going to make this all too difficult for his teammate, as now he's going to be going through up into 4th place. Matthew Walder is going to take 5th for now, but of course he will drop to 6th on penalties. It's going to be 6th at worst realistically, because Tim is 21 seconds off this battle. As 2.2 seconds separate himself and Paco Suarez, so maybe he has to get a little bit of a move on. Similar amounts of ERS, so 8/10 that he has to stay within. As long as he doesn't lose 8/10 between now and the end of the race, which is the last lap and a half really, he will be able to take a podium position, which would be very, very nice after running midfield kind of most of the race, and finding himself in this position with no penalties as well is certainly a good thing, especially for the bottle hog usually getting penalties. As I think Matthew Walder probably just going to be holding up Ollie to protect Sondre Sorog a little bit more, because Matthew's going to know that he's not going to take this because of his penalty. So the best he can do is just help out his teammate as best he can, and let Sondre Sorog focus on catching Paco Suarez. Now the fight for the lead. Corboy is closing on Tom McGyver ever so slightly. He has the DRS open as well. Not going to be enough for turn 2, as of course it's may well. Oh, a crash right on the last lap. He would have taken a fairly comfortable P2, and now he's out of the Grand Prix. Going through turn 2, he just lost it all on his own. He has himself to blame. He must be fuming in the cockpit, and he's out of the Russian Grand Prix right at the end. Sondre Sorog is now up into the podium places legitimately. Or not legitimately, I should say more on track. It is legitimate with no penalties. 2.9 seconds now separates himself and Paco Suarez. Paco Suarez is certainly using ERS, or I would be expecting that he would be using ERS. 2.8 seconds separate the two of them now. As we go through and on to the back straight, out of turn 10. Has Paco Suarez made a mistake? He has made a mistake. Matthew Walder is going to go through for a P3, but Ollie Flavel now is on the inside for turn 11. He's going to be able to open up that DRS and make a move on Matthew Walder. Paco Suarez now down to P5 with no win. Is he going to be able to hold off from Thomas McGyver? Or sorry, not Thomas McGyver, I should say Tim Brusaylin's, as now you can see Thomas McGyver navigating the final few corners now. He was challenged by Corboy. He took the win, or the lead, back on track, and he's going to spin right across the line. He's won the Russian Grand Prix. Sondre Sorog is going to come across the line for a very strong P2 in the end. As Ollie Flavel spins across the line to take P3, Matthew Walder is going to take a P4 as he crashes right into the back of Ollie Flavel. Or actually, that would have been Thomas McGyver actually. So I think a very happy Thomas McGyver, a very happy Sondre Sorog, and certainly a very happy Ollie, considering he was right at the back earlier on in the race. Matthew Walder, of course, is going to take a P4. Tim Brusaylin's did actually take a P5. He did get ahead of Paco Suarez by 2 seconds in the end. Jared Fosbury in 7th, Matt in 8th, Del Colour in 9th, and we're just waiting. There you go, as Rocco Walsh crosses the line. A big cluster of cars on the exit of that corner. As the driver of the day, Tom Segiver, I would counter-argue that Sondre Sorog deserves the driver of the day, because something he usually does, you can say, is get penalties, but today he kept away from them. He would have got the podium anyway on penalties, and even after Paco's spin, it guaranteed himself the podium, and with Corboy as well. He's my driver today, personally. Tom Segiver, of course, as I said, takes P1, sprays the champagne. Sondre in 2nd, and in 3rd, of course, the Alfa Romeo of Ollie Flavel. And you can see the winner there, Tom Segiver. In 2nd, Sondre Sorog, and 3rd, Ollie Flavel, who should, well, really, the entire podium, I would say, should be fairly happy with their results. Matthew Alder in 4th, of course, with that penalty in the end didn't actually matter. Tim Brusalians came through for a 5th after Paco Suarez breaking off a swing right on the last lap, or actually on the second last lap, I should say. I think it was, or one of the two. Jared Fosbury, of course, in 7th, Matt in 8th, Del Colour in 9th, and Rocco Walsh rounding out the top 10. One lap down was Corboy, of course, because he DNF'd right on the last lap, and it would have been a podium for him as well. Lewis Curtis, Edward Hart, Ross Denham, Tom Jewell, Lewis Millum, and Cameron Young, all DNFs from this race. 6 DNFs, if I can count correctly. It is 6 DNFs. And of course, technically, Corboy also a DNF, making it 7, but he did still qualify for the classifications, completing the 90% rule. So we'll just get the top 3 in for interviews then, quickly. There we go. Oh. Well then. I guess I'll... Fourth place would get the next one. Oh, okay. My bad, Sondre. Oh, I should have seen it there as I was looking at me. It's a sun. Matthew are going to join because Thomas can't with his voice, it seems. Okay, while we wait for them then, we may as well start with you, Sondre. Of course, today, no penalties, which for me to see you without penalties is a little rare, you can say, when most of the time you're close to disqualification, namely Austria is one of the recent ones. But no penalties would have had you on the podium anyway. Then with Corboy's crash, Paco's crash, put you in P2 on track, and you took it on track very nicely, and in the end, of course, a podium when you were fighting in the midfield, you must be happy with that.
Well, I mean, yeah, a podium was what I was aiming for today. My pace in practice before the race was good. I managed to get a good setup that really kept the car stable, which was one of the things that made me able to avoid getting pens. And then in quali, obviously, everything just went south with invalidation after invalidation. So in the race, starting at the back, I had some moments during the race, but towards the end, when I found myself higher up the field, then obviously I knew I had the pace to get myself up there, and well, I wasn't in doubt about the podium at the end. I could have taken it more comfortably as well, but I tried to keep my teammate with me in my DRS to help him before I had to bolt myself.
I guess one question then, it looks a little bit like Matthew Alder let you go. Was that a team call, or did it just kind of happen that way, that DRS and Slipstream just had you in front anyway?
Oh no, trust me, if he didn't let me go, I wouldn't have gone past. My car was a boat in the straight, but he said that I needed to pass on that straight, and I knew that I was quicker at that point. His tires were, well, okay. They were old.
Oh, yeah, fair enough.
So he needed me to go ahead, and then he needed to try and keep DRS and keep within the gap of Paco, which he in the end could not, but yeah.
Alright then, I guess the last question would be Baku. Do you like Baku? You think you can do well there? Of course, a P2 will put you down a little bit in terms of a good car, but how do you think you could do there next week?
Well, I mean, you know me, so I've always been a little bit of a Baku merchant in the past. However, that's not really the case anymore. But I do still love the track, and well, if there is one track I'd rather have a worse car than... well, actually, next week I can't race.
Oh.
So it'll be the next race after that I can race.
Which would be Hungary then.
Track. Ooh. I was gonna say, Baku not the worst track to have a bad car in, as it is walls everywhere and a little bit chaotic, but Hungary is a little bit the opposite, so I will see.
Alright then, good to see you back on the podium, of course, and hopefully we'll see you there in 2 weeks' time, maybe, if something happens, but yeah, as I said, congratulations and good luck.
Thank you.
Which would then go on to Ollie Flavel then, who took a P3. Ollie, of course, earlier on in the race, you were running last. You were about maybe 20 seconds off the grid. Safety cars, of course, brought you back into play, and to get a podium from the low that was pretty much the start of the race, really good turnaround, I guess you could say.
Yeah, well, first of all, I'd just like to apologise for being late.
Oh, well, it's fine.
Hang on.
I was having a shit.
Sorry, if you look at the Discord, you see how I responded. You were like, Ollie, Sanjay, interviews. And I was like, I was having a shit. I just came to bad. But yeah, anyway, so I just like to bring a bit of comedy to interviews. But yeah, no. I was early on in the race, and I let McLaren go by me because obviously the Mercedes is a rocket of a ship. Oh, hang on, it's a rocket ship down the straight. I sounded like Fernando Alonso. That was a rocket of a ship. But yeah, no, he kind of went over the curb at turn 2 and lost it, and I went into the back of him and he killed me and put me in the wall. I don't know if you caught that or not. So I was down the back of the grid, and I was kind of just like playing the strategy game, trying to think when would be a good time for a safety car to come out. I pitted about 5 times, I think, maybe 6 times. I think nearly every time the safety car come out. But I had the freshest tyres for the last stint, which is what I wanted, because obviously with the likes of Corbo in a Red Bull, Tim in a Mercedes, I stood no chance. And I was losing about 8 tenths on a straight, something ridiculous. So I was kind of playing the long game, and it worked out with Paco crashing on the last lap after he apparently secured the podium. Boy, was he fucking stupid. Hope you get that Baku reference, which we'll talk about for next week.
I remember that, yeah.
How could you be so fucking stupid? Seriously. But yeah, no, he said that his podium was secure and he ended up spinning, which is quite funny. And there was also the likes of Rocco having a crash and everyone else having a crash in front of me. So it's kind of a long game, just letting everyone crash, let the carnage unfold, and just glide through like nothing happened. What else can we talk about? Oh yeah, we can talk about my little incident with Matthew on the last lap. Williams was absolutely ridiculous in the straight line, so I saved on my ERS for the last lap. Bang, went for it, got him. Down the outside into the turn 15, is it? I don't know. But I went on over the curb and got the fattest tank slapper. And then I was literally drifting around the corner. I would have saved it. And then Matthew went down the inside and I kind of like knocked his front wing, which was a complete and utter accident, and I apologise for that. But it was a bit of a stinker, I will admit. He would have got P4 anyway. But that's how it is. And I sound like Lance Stroll, just keep going like But yeah, I know you're going to ask, how do I feel looking forward to Baku? Well, let's get on to Baku. So, I love Baku with all my heart and joy, and I think it's one of the best tracks that they've made in the game. And it's absolute carnage, and I really enjoy all the corners, and especially the castle section.
Alright. Well, if you have anything else, what were you saying?
What else can we talk about? Let's just go full waffle mode, shall we? Kevin, how was your day, though? How was your commentary?
My commentary felt pretty good, I think. But no, yeah, obviously, if you like Baku, then hopefully you don't get too bad of a car. Obviously, getting a P3 15 podium, points.
So I'm going to be back in the Williams or the Haas. Yeah,
probably, which won't be too good. But I mean, you usually don't get penalties, and if safety cars keep coming, then maybe you might put yourself in a good position and get a similar result to today.
Oh, we're racing in IRL, Kevin. There'll be safety cars every lap, so I'll be fine.
Oh, I wish I was racing in Baku.
Anyway, then congratulations on your P3 and good luck for Baku then.
Thank you very much. Good luck for commentary for Baku.
And that is going to be the end of Russia for IRL, of course, here in FP. Be sure to join us, of course, this weekend. Baku starts with F1 on Saturday and continues with F2 on the Sunday, both at 4:30. And then, of course, same time next week on the Wednesday for 8 PM FP with Baku as well. And it usually does promote good racing. Got that long straight, so hopefully we'll see some good overtakes like we saw today. And maybe a few less safety cars would be nice, a bit more racing. But yeah, that has been it from me, Kevin, and I'll see you next week. Goodbye.
Bye.